and welcome to All Things STEM with Ashley. Today we have Appy here with us. Appy graduated from Georgia Tech with a BS in Industrial and Systems Engineering. After that, she joined the aerospace industry where she joined the Operations Leadership Development Program. She got to be a supply chain procurement analyst. She also has got to be an applications engineer in the manufacturing realm, and she's also worked as an inspection supervisor. So we are super excited today to hear about her journey, her navigation through her career, and tips for success. She also finished her MBA at Johns Hopkins in August of 2023, and that was in her MBA. So we get to learn a little bit about why she chose that. So thank you for joining us today. Appy, welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I'm super excited to be here.
Yes. I met Appy at work a few years ago, and then we just stayed connected. We actually met volunteering. Mm-hmm. We were volunteering for this coding event, and it just stayed. So here she is, here we are, and I'm so thankful she is a guest today on our channel. Today we're going to talk about your journey to start off. So, what first sparked your interest in STEM, and how did you decide to pursue it as a career?
Yeah, so I would say it started off in elementary school. My parents pushed me to math competitions and science olympiads. So my dad was an engineer himself. My mom was mostly in the biology field. She has a master's there. So I come from a family background that's rich in STEM.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of propelled my journey. And I realized I really love math. Science is okay. I mean, I think later on I found out in high school it wasn't my cup of tea.
Right.
But through high school, through middle school, it was mostly science olympiads, a lot of math competitions. I tried to take all the advanced math classes, those AP classes, in math and science to figure out what I wanted to do. And then when it came to applying to college, I didn't realize how vast engineering was.
Yeah.
So I came to Georgia Tech, actually got the chance to talk to some students who were in those majors, such as mechanical, biomedical, industrial, and then I finally settled on industrial because it's heavy math influence, but it's not as much science-based as the other majors were.
Yeah.
And the other reason was it's so broad as well, so that's kind of what led me into engineering.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. So can you give us a little more of an overview of what industrial engineering is for those that may not know?
Yeah, so it's essentially a cross-section or intersection of business, engineering, and computing.
Okay.
So what's so great about it is you take all these engineering classes on basically finding systems or processes to make them more efficient.
Okay.
But at the same time, you're taking some business classes, you're taking some computing classes. So if those really appeal to you, I know some of my friends went into consulting.
Okay.
Some people just straight up went into the tech industry and they're software engineers. And then the true core industrial engineers, they're people who are working in manufacturing, logistics, quality, and process improvement.
Excellent.
So,
I love that.
yeah, it's great if you are unsure about what you want to do, and it's so versatile, so you can go into any industry, essentially. Right. You're not very much confined to one space.
Yeah. I love that. Thank you. See, I'm learning too. So, like, even though I'm in engineering, I still learn about the different types through my guest. And I learn new things about my guest. Even if we know each other and you talk to someone at work, it's so different from hearing their background, their journey. So, I'm super excited that we get to learn that today.
Yeah.
So, next we have, were there any challenges you faced growing up in STEM that made pursuing your STEM career harder?
Sure. So, I would say science was not my favorite subject per se. I like math, so when it came to high school, taking those advanced chemistry, physics classes were a bit of a challenge. So that for a while did deter me from engineering, but my parents really pushed me and they said, hey, we know you need help, go find help. There's lots and lots of resources out there, especially YouTube.
Right.
Because sometimes your teacher or even your professor in college doesn't teach the way you can learn from them. So with that, I was able to find the help, and then towards the end of it, I actually started liking physics a little bit more. Yeah, so I feel like it really helped me being in like the aerospace and the manufacturing industry right now. Not having, because essentially, some people call industrial engineers imaginary engineers, since we have no idea what we're talking about.
Right.
But having that solid background in physics,
Right.
and really learning and making sure I understand the material,
Right.
helped me.
Yeah.
After I graduated.
I love that. So did y'all hear that? Ask for help, seek guidance,
Mm-hmm.
seek resources.
Yes.
Those are all keys to success. So thank you for that, Appy.
Yeah.
Our next question is, what inspired you to select your major during your collegiate years?
Yeah, so talked a little bit about it being very broad. At the time, I really didn't know what I wanted to do.
Right.
To be completely honest, I still don't know.
Yeah.
And it's hard. Yeah, it's hard
Yeah.
because you study a major and then
Yeah.
you get to the workforce and then realize, I don't like this. I
Right,
want
right.
to do something else.
Right.
So that's what propelled me towards industrial engineering.
Yeah.
It's still engineering.
Yes.
And I really loved the concept of process improvement. That's
Right.
something I would like to do throughout the rest of my life, whether it be
Yeah.
through various roles
Yeah.
or strategic roles, what it is.
Yes.
So taking those process improvement classes and whatnot,
Yeah.
I think really deepened my interest in industrial engineering.
I love that. So, Appy, can you share any role models or mentors that helped you navigate your career journey?
Yeah, I would say it started off with looking at my family and what they pursued. So my dad went into the software engineering world.
Yeah.
My mom majored in biology and she did her master's in it as well.
Yeah.
And then my uncles on both sides of the family, they did engineering. And then my
Yeah.
grandfathers on both sides, they were engineering as well. So
Wow,
I
you
come
had
from
a long
family-
line for real.
come from a family of engineers, and that's to be expected, especially in like the Indian culture. They
Okay.
place a huge emphasis on either being a doctor, an engineer, or a lawyer.
Okay.
And luckily enough, I think towards the end of high school, like my parents still told me that, hey, we're not going to push you, but we
Right.
also want to make sure you're financially stable and
Yes.
you find a major
Mhm.
that provides a good job.
Right.
So luckily, I really love math, so it kind of fell in place
Yeah.
with that. And then through college, I just had multiple mentors. So
Yeah.
I joined the Alumni Association as a student.
Yeah.
Connected with multiple mentors there,
Yeah.
and it really helped me find out what I could do with my degree.
Yes.
And they really helped me saying like, oh, this is the experience I had in this job. This is what we did. Because you hear buzzwords like consulting and process improvement and IE, and you think, what do they do on a day-to-day basis?
Yes, that's true.
So that really helped me find out what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And what I really didn't want to do too.
Yes.
So kind of worked both ways.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that with us. So I want to ask next, what is one project or accomplishment that you're particularly proud of during your STEM career?
I was like graduating from Georgia Tech.
That is excellent.
Yeah.
That is a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, I so luckily the high school I went to was
Okay.
really competitive.
Yeah.
So it did help me adjust to Georgia Tech with
Right.
its rigor and whatnot,
Mhm.
but it was probably Georgia Tech's probably 10 to 20 times the
Yeah.
rigor I faced in high school.
Oh my goodness.
So, yeah, there would be times where I would call them like nightmares.
Yes.
So I would have nightmares even after I graduated.
Oh my
thinking I
goodness.
slept through a final and I failed a class.
Oh my goodness. It happens, but you made it.
I
But
made
she
it.
graduated.
Yes. So
Keep pushing.
I would say graduating has been one of my major accomplishments, especially from tech.
Yeah.
And it really helped me in like the career world because people notice Georgia Tech.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
So they know how hard it is and competitive it is. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would say graduating.
That's excellent. That is amazing. So y'all see the journey isn't linear, but you can still make it. And she's
Yeah.
super successful now. So just keep going. Well, that's excellent. Have you been involved in any STEM initiatives that promote young women or minority groups during your time?
Yeah, so it actually started off at Georgia Tech.
Okay.
They had a program called College of Engineering Champions. I don't
Okay.
know if they still have that.
Right. Okay.
But essentially what it was is we would either host high schools, or not high school, well, kind of ranges from elementary,
Okay.
middle to high school students. Either on campus from like underrepresented schools around the area, I would say, to try to get them very influenced into STEM and whatnot, and see what engineers do, what students do here, explore the campus and whatnot. And the other thing we would do is we would do fun little projects with them at their schools as well.
Oh, yeah.
So I really love that aspect, trying to have an impact on someone's life.
Yes.
Because I've been so fortunate to have so many mentors, so many resources, so many field trips to fun STEM-related activities.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to inspire the next generation.
I love it.
So
I love it.
It kind of, I would say, help really let me see that impact that I have on students and pay it forward. Yes. And it transitioned into work. So I know at work sometimes they'll do events during engineering week or e-week, and we would go visit high school students, try to do fun little activities with them, with elementary school students, try to teach them how airplanes fly and whatnot. And sometimes we would host them at work as well and try to show them what we build and whatnot. So,
I love that. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for paying it forward. I think making an impact is so important because, like, the people that helped inspire us, we're now STEM leaders or growing leaders, and we can help, pour that back into them because I feel like, first of all, like, if you're not exposed to it, you don't want to research and learn more about it. And if you only see one type of profession or field, I think it's important to show other ones as well. So even if you don't pick it, you're still exposed to it to get more knowledge about it. So I think, exposure is the first step. So I love that you get to do that and make a super great impact.
Yeah, you never know who you'll inspire.
You don't. And seeing a female in leadership or in STEM, it really is inspiring because it's like there's someone that looks like me out there that did it and they made it. And so that's why I'm excited about this channel, so that we can, help promote others and let them see that you can make it. There's people that look like you that have made it happen. So thank you.
Yeah.
Now we're going to get into some grad school questions because Appy navigated working a full-time job while also doing school part-time. So we're going to just learn a little bit about her tips for success, how she made it, and ways that, if you're in the same boat, you can make it too. So first off, what motivated you to get your MBA while you were already working in your career field? What motivated that?
Yeah, I won't lie, was the tuition reimbursement at work played a huge role into it.
Oh, yes.
From a financial standpoint.
Yes.
Otherwise, I don't think I would have probably put off my MBA for years.
Yes.
And then the second being, so this was right around the COVID time, so some of the schools relaxed their GMAT requirements, so to propel, I guess that propelled getting my MBA a lot sooner than I anticipated. Yeah. And then also, I would say why I chose to get an MBA specifically was because I wanted a very broad degree, similar to my major. Yes. And then I think long term, I was seeking something that was more strategic in nature. Yeah. I could have gone back for my degree in industrial engineering or a master's in that and whatnot, but I think for me personally, I wanted to go more into a strategic route versus staying in the same tactical engineering field. And also broaden my knowledge. So I'd taken some business classes as an undergrad, and I really liked that. And then with MBA, you get more exposure into classes on how to lead teams, leadership styles, management, whether it be risk management or strategic management, topics like that. So that's kind of what, I guess, helped me choose an MBA.
Thank you. Yeah. That's really good. That's really unique because I know in the engineering field, it is hard deciding, okay, do I want to get a master's degree in engineering like my undergrad or a more, like you said, MBA, learning the business acumen, the business side, navigating people, and learning that background, because it's good to have balance of both.
Yes.
And in the engineering world, I've seen both ways, where you do the MBA or a STEM field, but I was the same way as you. I was like, I kind of want to learn the business side. Yeah. And I actually met with some of my mentors and my old manager and was like, okay, when you look at an MBA or a master's in engineering, like, what do you look at more? And they were like, oh, I see them as the same. Like, so you need to, talk with your leadership, talk with the people you work with and get different perspectives on what they feel about it. And like she said, it's up to what you actually want out of it. So, and the pandemic definitely helped. Yes. And the tuition reimbursement definitely helped. I was like, yeah, okay, tuition reimbursement, I'll do it. Less student loans, all that. Yeah, so I was the same as her. I I was like, yeah, I'm not doing anything until I get a job with tuition reimbursement. So, well, thank you. So now, how do you balance work, studies, life? Because you have to have me time, you have to have work time, you have to have a social life. How do you navigate it all without burning out?
That one's a tough one. I would say it helped because I think when I started my MBA, I was in a hybrid work, or that's what's called hybrid work.
Yeah, environment.
Yes, environment. There we go. So I would go in for a few days, like 2 to 3 days, and then work from home for a day, which helped with that. So I wasn't on the road commuting. Because 10-hour days can be a lot, and I'm sure you know that too.
So was your master's fully online, or did you have to go in person?
It was fully online, thankfully. So that helped a lot. That actually was my deciding factor because Georgia Tech and Emory did have an MBA, and I was really looking into theirs, but theirs required to be on campus from 6 to 9 p.m. 2 days a week.
After working 10-hour days.
Yes.
Can you imagine? Yeah.
So I decided I'm going to do my master's completely remote. It's an asynchronous format, so you can get ahead some weeks. You can do as you want for a week. So that's what I really liked, and it was on a quarter system. So classes rolled by so quickly. Every 8 weeks, you're in different classes.
That's insane.
Yes. So I would say what helped me a lot was staying organized with those deadlines and whatnot. So I would have it plugged into my calendar app, as well as I would write it down. I like to check things off and cancel them. It makes me think back and look how productive I was, or look what I got done. But then also having it on my calendar app, so that way I get notifications that, hey, this is due. Make sure you do this. And then the second thing was, because it was during the pandemic and I had been racking up a lot of PTO, I just took what would be the equivalent of mental health days, just taking a few days off, whether it to be relaxed or whether for school entirely. Like if I had finals coming up, I'll take off a day or two.
That's excellent,
because it can be a lot.
I would do the same. Yes. You have to. It can be a lot.
It can be.
10-hour days, homework, sometimes group projects.
Yes, group projects.
A lot of group projects in grad school for me that I was not expecting. So it is a lot. You do have to take that time off. And luckily for us, we work 10-hour days, so we're off each Friday. That's something I really got to utilize too, is my off Fridays and my weekends to really jump ahead on schoolwork. Did you get to utilize that?
Yes, for sure. Sometimes I would leave work off completely, like watching lectures and stuff like that, till Friday.
Yeah.
Because by the time I'd get home, it'd be late, and I didn't want to do anything school related.
Oh, yeah.
Unless it was just write a discussion post, sure, I'll go do that real quick. But homework assignments, that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Absolutely.
Trying to divide it up that way. And then something else that really helped, I would say, is going to grad school or 2 or 3 years after you finish your undergrad.
Yeah.
Because, like, when my MBA, I would say, there are a lot of classes that dived or picked up a few topics from IE classes that I took. So there were classes that I was going in thinking, oh, this is super easy. I already know about this. So it was a breeze. And I saw some of my other classmates, they've been out of school for 15, 20 years. And it took them a while to refresh their memory. Some of them had different majors and whatnot, so it took them a while to grasp it.
Right.
So having that really helped me as well. Yeah.
I love that. That's super smart, because I like to ask people too, like, what made you decide to go in the workforce before just pursuing your master's straight out of undergrad?
Yeah, so I think for me personally, the options at Tech were very limited in terms of a master's in engineering. For IE, it delved into the supply chain. I wasn't the biggest fan of supply chain. When I did my supply chain rotation at work, it's very important to realize how supply chain works and integrates into a company. It can be something as small as a fastener or a bolt that can shut down an entire production line because they don't have it and didn't anticipate all those risks and whatnot. But with that being said, it wasn't my cup of tea, because I wanted to be hands-on on the manufacturing floor, really digging into the engineering behind it, performing corrective action and whatnot. So with that being said, going back, I took a few supply chain classes as an IE major. It just didn't appeal to me as much to go into that world. And I think early on, I really did want to get an MBA since it was so broad.
Yeah.
In case I ever wanted to go into leadership, I thought it would be like the most beneficial degree.
That's excellent. So now we want to talk about how do you envision your MBA affecting your long-term career plan?
Yeah, so I think first off, I really want to get into something more strategic. So within a company, whether that be program management or business development, try to capture that new business, what goes into it.
Yeah.
So from my MBA classes, taking classes in strategic management, customer analysis, risk management, as well as just managing and whatnot, trying to figure out how to manage a team too, because that's who you're going to lean on when you really go into those roles. That's an aspect that I look forward to after getting my MBA, or just going into leadership in general. So yeah, I did have that 1 year experience as a supervisor.
Okay.
And I will say it helped me grow personally and professionally as well. It really made me realize you don't have to be the smartest person in the room or know everything to be a leader.
Yeah.
It's just how you manage people and how you make sure your team excels.
Yeah.
And that's something that obviously a lot of my MBA classes really emphasized as well. And they also went into how do you influence your team, as well as how do you help them excel and grow. So,
I love that.
We'll see what the future takes me.
I can't wait. Y'all, we're going to have to bring her back and see what the future takes her. I want to know what the best piece of advice you've received during your whole STEM journey. Can you share that with us?
Sure. I will say networking never stops. I've had, obviously, in college, that's when you start really networking, putting yourself out there, building your personal brand, so that way you get to your first job. But it doesn't stop there, because it's not like you're going to be stuck in that role forever. Right. Or if you want to, good for you.
Yeah.
But for me personally, that I've seen is making those connections at the end of the day, it's so beneficial.
Yes.
As well as building your personal reputation at a company.
Yeah.
Because that's how you get hired sometimes. In the past, I've had a few people come up to me and say, hey, by the way, this role's opening up.
Yeah.
If you want it, let me know. I'll go talk to the hiring manager to put in a word for you.
That's excellent.
So that's kind of helped me get the current role that I am in right now.
Yeah.
So building that reputation and growing your network really pays dividends.
Yes, that is an excellent tip. Network. And how do you keep up with people after you originally meet with them? How do you keep that relationship going? What do you do?
Yeah, so I like to just randomly check in on them, see what they're up to.
Yeah.
So a good number of the people that I used to work with have really moved across the country within the company, outside of the company.
Yeah.
So within the company, it's really easy just sending them an IM message and sometimes saying like, hey, by the way, I'm going to be at your facility in like the next month. Let's catch up.
Yeah.
Or just, I guess, having like random once a quarter check-ins with them. And something else that's helped me is I will sometimes jot down their birthday.
Yeah.
That's a really easy way to start a conversation with someone.
Gems.
So if you do that, and I just set it on my work calendar to repeat every year as well. So I'll reach out and say, hey, happy birthday. And then it'll lead into like, how are you doing? How's your role going? And stuff like that. So super easy way to talk to someone.
Yes, thank you for that nugget of wisdom. You all can use that wherever you are, whether it be college, new career, in your career. So,
yeah, people love birthday wishes. So.
Yes, thank you, Abby. Next, we're going to ask about how you keep yourself motivated when things get tough. So sometimes balancing school, working full time, your personal life, me time. How do you balance it as obstacles arise, and how do you navigate through that?
Sure. I think personally for me, I'm just a very optimistic person. So I just have that mindset that things can only go uphill from here.
Yes.
So when something comes my way, it's like, okay, this is a challenge. And you grow so much from those challenges as well in terms of how you handle it.
Yes.
So having that optimistic mindset helps a lot. And then also not taking things personally. And that's something I built on in my supervisor role because since then I've always had people give me like positive feedback or constructive criticism that
Right.
wasn't necessarily super negative.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until I got into that role and people were telling me to do things, and then there were instances where some of the inspectors I worked with didn't have the most positive attitude at times,
Right.
and being on the receiving end wasn't great.
Mm-hmm.
So that helped me learn not to take things personally.
Yes.
And giving people grace. Sometimes people
Yes.
just have bad days.
Yes.
That's what it comes down to.
Yes.
Sure, they should not take that out on you in any way whatsoever, but
Right.
people do have bad days, and it could be something that triggered them to act that way.
Yes.
And then also having an end goal in mind.
Ooh.
So for me, my MBA, I had a countdown on a sticky note on my laptop.
I love it.
It was for the end of each rotation as well as the end of my MBA.
Yeah.
And just having that just kept me going. I would say it's like, all right, one less day of this.
Yeah.
And then I'll never have to deal with going to school part-time again.
That is so good. You are serving. She's giving major keys. Oh my goodness. The not taking things personal is something I feel like so many of us have to learn going into the workforce, because it's almost, we're not handheld through college, but it's a big transition from college to the workplace, and you cannot take things personal, or it will drive you crazy. You will be crying every day.
Yeah.
And so learning that a lot of times it's not about you, it's about them. Like you said, maybe sometimes someone had a bad day and took that on you. It took me a while to understand that, because I'm bubbly like you. I'm super outgoing, friendly. It could be 6 a.m. I'm like, good morning.
Yeah.
And meeting those people that's just like, oh my gosh, do they not like me? Do they hate me?
Right.
What is going on? And then understanding, like, you can't control how someone treats you.
Exactly.
And you cannot understand what's really going on. So just do what you can do and move forward.
Yeah, and you can control how you take in that negative energy. Do you let it go, or do you keep it in you?
Or believe it. You don't have to believe it.
You don't have to believe it at all. And it's so important to have, like, work friends as well.
Yes.
People you can rant to as soon as it happens, because that's also a great way to get it out of your system.
Yes.
And then, obviously, I don't think your friends would see anything wrong in you, per se, and they would probably help you.
That's good. Friends that you can trust.
Yes.
Vet them first.
Yes.
It is a dog-eat-dog world out there.
Yeah, it is.
And everyone's not as nice as, like, we would think. Or, like, sometimes people do things, it's like, I would never do that to someone.
Right.
How could they just do that?
Yeah.
And I still learned that today, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I would never.
Yeah.
But people aren't raised, like, the same. Some people don't have the
true.
same understanding, basis, morals. So it's kind of like, okay, noted.
Yeah.
Next.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was good. Thank you for that great advice.
Of course.
How do you see the field of industrial engineering changing? I know you said your role has changed since you've gotten the workforce, but so much is changing now with AI. Different things are going on in all different career fields, and I feel like engineering is being changing and evolving the most. Do you think there will be any new things coming into industrial engineering in the next 5 to 10 years that may impact us?
Yeah, so I'll say when I graduated, the IE school here started a new concentration in data analytics.
Oh,
so
Georgia Tech, by the way.
Yes. So unfortunately, that was my senior year. And if I chose to concentrate in that, I'd probably have to stay another year or year and a half, which I did not want to do.
No.
But I will say, with that being said, I realized they're really going into the tech world more.
Yeah.
So whether it be AI or machine learning, try to incorporate those concepts, and I'd love to see that how it plays out in the manufacturing world.
Yes.
Especially in aerospace. Obviously, automotive, they are cutting edge technology. They have a lot more robots installed and whatnot. But when you go to, like, the aerospace manufacturing industry, something that I saw was we're still doing operations by hand.
Right.
Because these aircrafts are highly specialized and whatnot. So I would love to see in the field of IE how we start incorporating AI and machine learning into more of, like, the process improvement. How are we improving these systems? How are we improving the products that we use every day? And how does AI play a role in it?
Yeah.
Because it's still out there. We don't know much about it.
Yeah.
But it'd be very interesting to see how the IE school pivots into that world too.
I love that. See, I'm learning so much. I hope y'all are learning so much. That's super cool, because everything's changing now. everything.
Yeah, everything's changing.
It's kind of like how like our grandparents and stuff didn't have cell phones and laptops. Like now it's robotic. Like
Right.
the things that our next generation is gonna see, like our kids or grandkids.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, we didn't have robots or flying whatever. They talk about so much new stuff.
They
So
do.
it's just like, okay.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Well, thank you for that. Before we get your 3 tips for success and what's next for you, I do want to ask, looking back, is there anything you would have done differently?
Yeah, I think for me, looking back, especially in college, I wish I took more ME mechanical or aerospace engineering classes. Honestly, I'll say I didn't have any thought of going into manufacturing per se. I thought I was going to go work for some tech company and whatnot.
Right.
But after applying and seeing what IEs can do in manufacturing, that's what sort of shifted me towards that industry.
Yeah.
And I think going into manufacturing or like the aerospace industry, there's been roles where I've been like a manufacturing engineer or even as an applications engineer. Some of the stuff just went over my head.
Right.
Because I didn't even know how to read a blueprint until I got to work.
Same.
And yeah, it kind of, I mean, it's not bad per se. Luckily, work really teaches you. There's trainings and there are multiple buddies and mentors I had at work that helped me.
Right.
But I think taking those ME, AE classes back in college would have really helped me in my roles.
That's an excellent tip. Take that note.
Yeah, they might be hard, but it can really open doors because you can always go up to recruiters or companies and say, hey, I've taken these classes as well along with my degree.
I love that, Appy.
Yeah.
All these episodes, y'all, when I film, everyone's just dropping so much good knowledge that I just love it. It's like, I want to post it today. Because y'all are just giving such good things. Well, with that advice, I do want to ask, what are 3 tips for success in navigating a STEM journey, like from elementary on, like any 3 tips you want to give to our audience?
Yeah, I will say first off, make sure you're passionate about it. This is something, if you start off in elementary school and you realize you don't like math or science, pivot to another degree or pivot to another field per se.
Right.
Because by the time you get to high school and then you go into college, do something that you're super passionate about. If you're passionate about STEM, then go for it.
Yeah.
Second is like being curious, having a curious mindset and being innovative as well, thinking of creative solutions to solve problems. Because engineering sometimes can be gray in a black and white world when it comes to solutions. Obviously, with your math classes, there's one right answer. But when it comes to solving some engineering problems, there could be multiple solutions out there. So being creative and having that mindset really helps. And then last but not least, I will say problem solving and creative or critical thinking skills helps a lot. Because as an engineer, you're solving problems every single day. So having those problem solving skills, how do you approach a problem? How do you solve it? What's your solutions? What's your entire process look like? It's so important to have that because you don't go from A to Z quickly. There's like so many steps that go in between.
I love that. Appy, thank you for those wonderful tips for success and navigating your journey. So can you tell us what is next for you? What are you looking forward to? I know you told us your dreams and aspirations, but what is something really fun we can look forward to with you? Yeah,
so I think next I really want to go more into a strategic type of role. So just exploring what's out there. It's sort of why I chose a rotational program to realize or to find out what I like, what roles I don't like, and how it moves me forward. I mean, I have mentors who work in different fields. They tell me one thing, but it's something I don't know what I want to do until I get to do it. So it's 2 different things. You have someone tell you versus you do it. So going forward in the future, I think I want something more high level. But I will say what's helped me or what will help me is having a strong foundation of manufacturing, the day-to-day tasks. How do we go from we got our parts to our finished product? So having that knowledge hopefully will help me when I go into that strategic role.
I love that, Appy. Thank you so much for joining us on All Things STEM with Ashley. We look forward to having you back one day as well. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your gems. And we will see you all next time.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.